What you're looking at here is a brick and mortar fence, and it is located in an alley. And anything that's located in an alley should provide you with a couple of red flags, including a painted brick wall. First up on the list is once you paint something like this, the wall will have a tendency to absorb moisture. Any place where the moisture can absorb into will absorb into this thing. And of course, if it's painted with the wrong paint, a semi-gloss or a high gloss paint, then the moisture might have a difficult time getting out of the wall, evaporating. So if you can imagine a block wall like this unpainted, if it gets wet, then the moisture is going to be able to absorb right out of the bricks. The first area you need to look at will be the bottom of the wall, because this is where the moisture, this is kind of the only spot this wall has where the moisture is going to be able to get out of. And moisture will drip down. Gravity will pull it down, so it's going to head towards the bottom first. So look for any paint that is peeling or any weak mortar. And this is another thing. It wouldn't be a bad idea to grab a screwdriver or a nail, something sharp, and just scrape it along the mortar in between the bricks to see if it's loose. If it's loose and you're actually scraping this stuff out, then the fence is probably going to need to be replaced eventually. So when I say scraping it out, you might be able to get a couple of specks out, but a little common sense should tell you if you're running a screwdriver through here and pulling out chunks the size of a dime, you've got a problem. Next up on the list, and you can see here there's an area that is not painted. Any areas that are not painted at the top can have a tendency to absorb more moisture than it would on the side. So if you could imagine a brick wall about 8 inches wide, let's say it's built out of 2 layers of bricks, and the sides are painted, but the top isn't. Where is the water going to hit and sit for long periods of time and of course absorb into the block wall faster? It's going to be on the top and it won't be on the sides. But don't get confused. If this wall hasn't been painted well enough and there are any cracks or chips, any spots where moisture can roll in or accumulate for long periods of time and then absorb in, then this fence is going to probably end up needing to be replaced even sooner. In case you haven't figured it out, I am not a big fan of painted brick or block walls, and the main thing is because of the moisture. If the moisture is trapped inside these walls for long periods of time, it will eventually start to deteriorate the wall. Now, for the reason why they probably painted the wall in the first place, and this should be another concern of yours if you're inspecting a property and you're thinking about purchasing the building, and that would be graffiti. There's a good chance they painted this wall, and if you look close enough, and I'm probably not going to be able to zoom in on the pictures, I'll go ahead and try with this last picture. If you look close enough, you can actually see what looks like it is graffiti. And if it is graffiti, mind you, then regular flat wall paint probably isn't going to be enough to cover it. They're probably going to need to use thicker paints, higher gloss paints, something to actually cover the graffiti. So that should be another concern of yours. So if they just painted the wall because they wanted this type of a look, that's one thing. But if they're using heavy duty paint to paint this wall, that should tell you that, or even elastomeric paint for that reason, then that should tell you that this particular brick wall isn't going to be letting much moisture evaporate, and would be almost like, if it's painted well enough, it'd be almost like wrapping it with a thin layer of rubber. And if the top isn't covered, then you've got a nice spot for water to get into and problems up the yin yang later.